Venezuelan opposition politicians are awaiting a key decision on Thursday on whether they can proceed with their moves for a recall referendum. They want to oust President Nicolas Maduro, whom they blame for the economic crisis in Venezuela. The National Electoral Council, CNE, is expected to announce whether it has accepted the opposition's initial petition for a recall referendum. The opposition gathered 1.85 million signatures in favor of the referendum. Tension between the socialist government and the opposition has heightened since the latter won the parliamentary elections in December and took control of the National Assembly. The opposition Roundtable for Democracy, MUD, coalition ran on a promise to remove President Maduro from office before his term runs out in 2019. After a proposed constitutional amendment to shorten his term from 6 to 4 years was rejected by the Supreme Court, the MUD launched a petition to recall him. On May 2 they handed the CNE lists with 1.85 million signatures backing a recall referendum, many more than the 197,000 needed at this initial stage. Members of President Maduro's United Socialist Party, PSUV, allege that at least 10,000 of those signatures are fraudulent. The CNE's decision on whether it accepts the petition is therefore seen as key, even though this is only the first hurdle on the road to a recall referendum. The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, opposition politician Enrique Marquez, said the recall referendum was the only escape valve for the pressure building up in Venezuela. He warned that should the referendum be blocked, social tension in Venezuela could rise to unheard-of levels. The country is deeply divided into those who support Mr. Maduro's socialist policies and those who oppose him, and there have been marches by both sides. But the worsening economic situation in Venezuela, which now has the world's highest inflation rate as well as shortages of basic food and power cuts, means many people who once supported Mr. Maduro are demanding change. The opposition says all its efforts to bring about change are being thwarted by the government and the judiciary, which it alleges has been stacked with supporters of Mr. Maduro. International pressure on the government to sit down with the opposition to tackle the problems has also been mounting. On Tuesday, the head of the Organization of American States, OAS, Luis Almagro, called an emergency meeting over Venezuela's institutional crisis which could lead to the suspension of Venezuela from the regional body. In response, Mr. Maduro accused Mr. Almagro of being an interventionist traitor and said Venezuela would fight any attempts at intervention. The president blames Venezuela's problems on an imperialist attack led by the United States and Venezuela's right-wing forces.